We have a phenomenal panel here for you today. This panel is Level Up Business Leaders Mixers panel. I guess they said one seat here for me, but that's okay. Everybody got a seat? All right. The leaders that you see on this particular panel, I would say have been repeatedly tested, but they are here today to basically talk to you about some of the challenges, some of the successes, get some of your questions. And if you don't ask questions, I have a few of my own. I like to always learn from leaders, so we have a host of them here. So I'm going to stop talking and start asking the questions. So I am going to start with the Chicago Transit Authority. We have JuanPablo, and he can introduce himself and talk a little bit about the CTA.
Great, thank you, Jackie, and thank you all for being here today. My name is JuanPablo Prieto. I serve as the Director of Diversity Programs at the Chicago Transit Authority. So I can have my notes here so I don't miss anything. For those of you who aren't familiar with CTA, we are the second largest transit authority in the nation by area, third largest in ridership. Pre-pandemic, we're moving 1.5 million rides each weekday, and now we are moving around 800,000 to 900,000 rides per weekday. We're hitting over 1 million in the warm days, so now we got the warm weather coming, so hopefully we'll hit over 1 million again. But really the pandemic did prove to us what we already knew, that transit, our most vulnerable populations and our essential employees really depend on transit, and that without transit, the city comes to a grinding halt. So we need to make sure that we're equitably funding transit, and that is our commitment, to make sure that we're equitably funding our system. In fact, we have the inaugural Chief Equity and Engagement Officer, which my department sits under, Denise Burrell. And she's making sure that we're making our investments equitably. And what that looks like is making sure that we're going to extend the red line, right? That's the next mega project that's coming up. It's a $3.6 billion investment in the far south side to take the red line from the current terminal at 95th out to the new terminal at 130th. We'll add 4 stations, 5.6 miles of rail. All the stations will be accessible and have intermodal connections with bus, bike, and pedestrian and parking. And we want to make sure that we're fulfilling a promise that was made over 60 years ago of getting the far south side connected via transit, so that they can take advantage of everything the city has to offer, and we can take advantage of everything the far south side has to offer, and make sure that we can get out there as well. We're also committed to our All Stations Accessibility Program. That is to make sure that the rail stations that are not currently vertically accessible are vertically accessible by 2040. In fact, our plan, which we nicknamed ASAP, was also adopted when they put together the bipartisan infrastructure law. They have funding in there called ASAP that's modeled after ours to make sure that rail is accessible to everyone. Because we know that transit is the great equalizer. And then we also have our zero-emission bus commitment to get zero-emission bus fleet by 2040. So we're exploring all options to make sure we get to that goal. We've got a few electric buses running on several routes, and we're continuing to convert our garages over to make sure we can charge those buses and then go out and procure new buses. But part of equity also means doing everything that we can to make sure that our contractors and the workforce on our contract reflects the communities that we serve. And in no uncertain terms, let me just say, CTA is doing supplier and contract diversity like no one else. We have set aggressive yet attainable goals through our DBE program. We set contracts aside through our small business program, but that's really just the floor. We also have our small business educational series that helps businesses get ready to do business with CTA. We have our Building Small Businesses program, which helps connect small businesses to capital sourcing, back office support, technical and procurement assistance, again, so that you're not just winning work with CTA, but you're growing from that work. And then we're also setting workforce goals on our contracts. We have the careers opportunity goal that helps low-income workers, our apprentice goal, which helps bring new individuals into the building trades, and our economically disadvantaged area goal that creates opportunities for residents within the CTA service area that live in zip codes with a median household income of $45,000 or less. We're also putting workforce goals not just on our construction contracts, but on our professional services contracts. And as far as I can tell, we're the first agency in the industry to do that, because we want to open those careers up for individuals that are underrepresented in those areas. We have workforce partners to help our contractors find the individuals that meet those goals, and we're an active participant. So in short, CTA is open for business. We want folks to come and do business with us, and diversity programs is your #1 advocate within CTA to help you do that. So please come visit our booth out there, but get a hold of us, and we're happy to network with you and find the right opportunities for you.
Wonderful. I guess what you say, Juan, you don't want them to ask you any questions. You tell it all up front, right?
I was told we had
I'm a person that does that. That's what I do. So we're going to start with the rest of our panel, and then I'll give you all a chance to ask a few questions. I'm going to go up to next. It is UJAMAA Construction, and that's Jimmy Akintonde. And anytime we call this man, he comes a running. So we greatly appreciate all of you for being here.
Thank you. Is this working? I think working.
Okay,
Thank you. Remind me next time not to sit next to Juan. I'm Jimmy Akintonde. I'm the president of UJAMAA Construction, general contractor on the south side of Chicago. We've been in business 23 years next month. And I think for us, our story is in the city of Chicago today, there's 6 cranes in the city of Chicago today. 3 cranes south of Roosevelt Road, and all 3 cranes are on UJAMAA jobs. And what that means is, and what that means for us, it's the responsibility that comes with that position, that we have to be very intentional about how do we make sure that those projects reflect the community where we live and the community where we work. How do we make sure that we hire contractors from our community, minorities and women? And how do we make sure that the workforce represents part of what we wanted to see? And in the room is multiple UJAMAA folks in terms of trying to make sure that the mission that we live and we claim to live is reflected on our job sites, and working hand in hand with the city, obviously. This is a city that we care very passionate about, and we've always maintained our position that the city will be great when all the citizens of Chicago can equally represent Chicago. And that's one of the things that in our work we want to make sure we show that and we prove that. It's not as good as his work.
Let's give him a round. Thank you so much. So I think you can see a theme in today, if you were in the earlier session today, the keynote speaker, and then moving on to this panel. It is something when you are working in the community and doing what you do in the community, and the people on those projects look like you. So we appreciate you for that as well. Next up, we have JGMA, Juan Moreno from JGMA. Juan will introduce himself.
Hopefully, yes, we have connection. Jackie, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to this, because for all of you, you're going to hear I'm an architect, but I'm going to try to find a way to describe what I do that can transcend any career. So I'm Juan Moreno. I'm president and founder of the architecture firm JGMA. We started the firm in 2010 just on a belief that, as with Jimmy, that participation for people of color had to mean something more. That the work that we do in communities needed to leave a more profound impact. I've also, been a firm believer that when there are contracts in a community, and again, you guys, whatever that might mean, that the people that are from those neighborhoods or that are from a culture that is similar, I'm a Colombian immigrant, should have an equal opportunity to be awarded those contracts. Because what you'll find is not the first time we're in those neighborhoods. And we're not in those neighborhoods because of a dollar value on a contract that all of a sudden magically gets everybody interested. There are differentiators in us and firms, but what we look for in the common thread is a chance. Put a crack in that door, open it, give us a chance, and you'll be pleasantly surprised. I've been a firm believer of that. So now in our 13th year, we've grown to be 52. I never imagined that. It's not a number that I try to brag about, but you better believe I use it when I need to. Because those that walk in the doors that want to talk to us and underestimate us day one when they open the door and they see the name Juan Moreno and start talking about, it's almost as if they feel obligated to talk to us until I use that number. And then all of a sudden the attention span changes. Well, that's okay, but that's part of the common mission of what we have to do collectively to try to change mindsets. And to keep it as simple as possible is that, unfortunately, the term minority has been taken too literally as it relates to participation. And I just like to talk about leadership. Give us a chance to lead. Give us a chance to show. That's where breakthroughs really happen, sincerely happen. It's a risk, you guys, I know, right? We have mouths to feed. We have to support so many different individuals. But for me, it's the risk we're taking, because if I don't, who will? And how else are you going to pay it forward for the next Juan Moreno or whomever? And so it's about legacy as well for the work that I do and certainly my firm. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Juan. And Juan, by all means, and Juan was a sub for quite a while, and Juan became a prime. So it can happen. He hasn't talked about that, but he will when you ask him a question. So I'm trying to give you some hints. I've been stalking these folks, so I'm trying to give you the people I stalk, and that's these. So we're gonna go down on the other side now. We've heard a bit from this side. We're gonna hear from some folks on the other side. We have Alpha Fire Sprinklers Company, Rashaun Burrell, who is president, and Jayson Williams. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves.
Where's Ryan at? Ryan, you give us the one microphone that don't work?
No, you have to press the button up. You have to press the button up.
Y'all know who Ryan is, right? He's the guy in here with the mask. That's how I used to cash my check when I was in here.
Hello.
Paid so much I walk into the bank like this. You know? Go ahead. We're gonna have a little fun.
Hi everybody, I'm Rashaun Burrell.
That's what we do.
I'm CEO and president of Alpha Fire. We've been in business for 3 years. We are a true story starting from the bottom. We pretty much got this business started from my partner. Basically, his house burned down and didn't have fire protection. And
Insurance.
so we ended up coming together and we started Alpha Fire. Crazy story, but yeah, that's the truth. That's how it started. Basically, I want to thank everybody on the panel for having me, and I want to thank Jackie as well. I'm up here with a lot of knowledge, and I'm excited. But we are basically fire protection. We are installation. We do test and inspection. Basically, we work with people who have different diversities. We've worked with RAM. We work with High 360. A couple faces in here I recognize. Hopefully, we can work with people on this panel. You know, I'm basically trying to get ourselves out there, get us to the point where the diversity side of these contracts and things like that can give us that next step to advance. It's very hard out here. We just want you to guys know the full aspect of how we started and what ways that we can get you guys to see that it's so much opportunity with the help of people like ourselves, help of Jackie, City of Chicago, different programs that are for us to build. I think the biggest issue is people don't have the knowledge. Everybody's pointing you in different directions, but you don't know the true guideline of how to get started. And people on this panel, I'm sure, agree with me that we have the know-how and the guidance to show you. And we're here to stay. It's Alpha Fire Sprinkler.
Hi, my name is Jayson Williams. I'm a former NBA All-Star. Thanks for having us. I'm his partner. Today was a great conversation with Mrs. Burrell that was here, and she's a great architect, and hurt my heart to know that she's put so much money in, and she's ready to go and put all these plans together, but she couldn't come up with any money to break ground. And I think that's the biggest problem that we have here, is that we all got great ideas, and he got lucky to come into an NBA basketball player who played 30 years ago and made a whole lot, made $100 million for being a bad player. Got lucky. And I'm not even supposed to be saying that because I think that might take the NBE out. You can figure that out later. But just to lighten this up a little bit, if you don't mind, Jackie. Because
I'm gonna let you have this, Jayson, for a moment.
Jackie, he's a little nervous right now. Right, so I'm gonna lighten it up. So in the 90s, you guys had a very bad basketball team here, right? Michael Jordan used to come to New York all the time, and he wanted me to play with the Bulls. And I said, I'm not leaving New Jersey. I said, yeah.
Don't get too full of yourself, because I thought you looked familiar.
Right.
But we all know who MJ is, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm
Jayson Williams,
right.
You confirmed that you were who you are.
Yeah, oh no, yeah. Okay, thank you. It's three of us now. There's White Chocolate, right? And then there's the other guy from Duke, and then there's the good player, right? But I'm just being funny and just not being facetious. I'm in great humility. I'm glad just to be on this panel. I don't know a whole lot about fire sprinkler business. I've been learning over the last 3 years through him and through this young man has worked in this business for a long time for another company, and we have great consultants, and we got people that help us a lot. But before we get there, let me just tell you the story about your bad basketball team. So if you guys don't mind, all right? So Michael Jordan came about 2 weeks to New York City, where I live, and man, you gotta come play with me. I'm gonna win 6 or 7 championships, man. You gotta come play with me. I need a rebounder. You the best rebounder in the league. Best offensive rebounder to ever play the game. We need you. And going on and on. I was like, man, I'm not leaving New York City. And it's a true story. 100%, I'm not going. Right? And my daddy said, Jayson, and he's from the South. Right? Jayson. He said, do you know you're the only man in America that does not want to play with Michael Jordans? Yeah, everybody's plural from the South. Right? So I said, if he comes back, I'll go with him. He came back, picked me up on the jet. We went back. And they gave me this, Phil Jackson and all these guys gave me all these drills. I'm used to playing with the Nets. We didn't have any plays. But you guys ran something out here, I forgot the name of the play, triangle. So y'all know your game, right? I had no idea about a triangle, what it meant, what it was doing. Matter of fact, it was just me, Phil Jackson, and the coaches, and I got hurt just running around trying to figure out where to go on the triangle. But so they kept me here for a week. And they were like, we gotta get you, Jay. We're gonna win. And Michael came back and said, Jay, I promise we'll win 6 championships. He said, you got one more thing, you just gotta take a psychological test. I said, psychological test to play basketball in Chicago? So The next day, my dad come knocking on the door. Right? I said, Dad, what's going on? He said, boy, you must have did real bad on that psychological test. I said, why? He said, because they signed Dennis Rodman.
Okay, that's enough.
Okay, that's enough. All right. I'm gonna pass the mic, but I just want to tell y'all that, look, I you know, at great humility, I'm Jackie. Thank you for inviting me here for so many years. I've lost 25 pounds, but my shirt keeps getting smaller and smaller because we're still looking for more and more work. And for, just like everybody, when we come here, you know, just give us a chance. Mm-hmm. Just give us a chance. And Rashaun, Ricardo, and the first few guys, they got 50 employees. Right? We about to fire you. We gotta get more employees. But this is it, and I'll turn it over. People always ask us, how big a job can you do? We probably can be honest, we can do $1 million job. That's a lot in the fire sprinkler business. Then they always ask, how many fitters you got? Right? We got 5 fitters. But if we got a $5 million job, we can get more fitters. We got an apprentice program that we teach them. And this is it, and I'll pass it to Jackie.
Because you have 1 minute.
I'll pass it to Jackie.
And they know,
hey, Jackie,
these people are waiting, because they know.
Okay, hey, Jackie, today's my birthday. I came all the way from Florida.
We'll give you 1 minute.
All right, 1 minute, okay? So what I really do for a living is I have a outdoor venture therapy treatment center in Florida. So you come down there, and if you got anxiety, depression, drugs, alcohol, overeating, we take you out on adventures like throwing you out of airplanes with our psychiatrists. You go scuba diving. We take you out your element. That's what we do down there. You do 19 activities that you've never done before, but when we come to reentry, that's what's my favorite. So I go in speaking about 12 different jails, and I find out who has 6 months left, and I train them because I'm a brick mason. So before I played every game, I had to lay brick and then drive tractor trailer. I have a CDL license, and I have a school that teaches. All right, Jackie. All right, Jackie. So hold on, I'm almost done.
We thank you.
People need to get these jobs. They need to get these jobs. They got 6 months out, and we teach them these things. When they get out, they got 30 days, and they come in and they got a job. They got a job as a heavy machine operator, or they got a job as a tractor trailer driver. All right? So that's all I'm going to have to say today. All right? Okay? Now, who do you want me to pass this to, Jackie? Because I know I can get it back.
That's just Rashaun.
Okay. That's your son? Okay.
All right. Our next speaker, thank you, Jayson. Our next speaker hails from Orlando, Florida now, but she is a heavy lady and heavy in the fact that she comes to us with 3 different organizations under her belt. And so I had to have her here. From the National Association of Black Women in Construction, we have Ann McNeill. And before Ann speaks, the reason I wanted to make sure that the ladies were seated is because if you know me and you know I put on this event every year, there are themes with this event. As we go into Women's History Month, we're going to celebrate a few of our women here. We know there are women out in the audience, so give yourself a round of applause too. But we're going into Women's History Month, and so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic to Ann McNeill.
Wow.
I know.
All right, Ann McNeill, the master wealth builder, helping to build stronger and better lives and businesses. And I help women in construction go to the next level. 45 years in the construction industry as a licensed general contractor, running behind UJAMAA for the last few years. I'm excited to be here with table number 53. Please make sure you go by our booth for National Association of Black Women in Construction. And I also must pay respect and homage to the National Association for Women in Construction, which I've been a member since 1982. And thankfully, last year I received the award for Advocate of the Year, so thank you so very much for the recommendation. Thank you, thank you. But I'm also the owner of NCO Construction, my construction company, which has been around for over 45 years now, where we focus more on billion-dollar programs. We are a small business, and we're about 60 individuals right now. But we focus on billion-dollar programs as a small firm, providing staff augmentation, architects, engineers, a lot of the support that these programs require. But I also am the founder of NCO Consulting, where we do outreach, monitoring, and compliance on public sector firms for public sector organizations. The founder of the National Association of Black Women in Construction, but also the founder of the International Mastermind Association from the book Think and Grow Rich, which is why I brought my toolbox. If you can see that here, we'll talk about that later. But also owner of NCO and Constructively Speaking, where I speak nationally to elevate women in this industry. And so I'll save my comments for Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ann. And let me just say again a special thanks to Ann McNeill and Jayson Williams. They both flew up here from Florida on their own dime because they needed to be here. And this is her second time representing the organization and her own businesses. So I do appreciate that. Moving right along, we are going to go on to some technology now. We have Bush Infotech Group, and we have Gregory Bush Jr. That's going to take us and tell us a little bit about AI and where that's headed. You have to push the little button up. Okay.
He's in the technology.
The mics go to sleep after a while.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, my name is Greg. Call me Greg, not call me Gregory. Greg Bush Jr., hashtag GBJ. Company is Bush Infotech Group, or the BIG, baby. Usually have some theme music playing behind me, but we are a 31-year-old information technology firm founded in Chicago by an architect. We were formerly known as KFA. I started working for this architect in 2001, became vice president in 2006, and I acquired the company from the founder in 2017. After acquiring the company, I doubled the staff and I doubled the revenue by 2019. We have won to date 24 awards, including in December, we were recognized by an organization called IHCC as one of the top 100 fastest growing inner city companies in the United States. And notably, in year 2020, the U.S. Department of Commerce named us the Minority Innovative Technology Firm of the Year for a platform, for a platform that I created called Phase. And the website is Phase, PHAZE.ai for artificial intelligence. And I'm going to get into that a bit more. And I'll speed up my talking because I have 31 years to talk about in just a few minutes. We literally in the 80s wrote the book, or the 90s wrote the book on using CAD for architecture. Okay, the founder traveled the United States and the globe talking about how to use CAD for the industry that you all work in. Later, for the Chicago Transit Authority, and we were there 18 years, starting in year 2000, we implemented the very first in the United States web-based project management system. Today, industry knows them as Project Management Information System, Procore, eBuilder, Kahua, so on and so forth. Those are PMIS systems. We implemented the first for a transportation agency. The federal government came in and cited our work as a best practice that every transportation agency in the United States should follow, thus creating an industry that I now have to compete in. A few years later, we started studying this thing that became BIM, Building Information Modeling. Sitting on committees with AIA, we literally wrote the specification of how BIM should work. We literally had the contract for the creators and the founders of Revit to help them create Revit. Okay? I could drop the mic right there if you know what Revit is. Now, I'm not saying this to impress, I'm saying this to inform everyone that the way we have succeeded is to innovate. However, innovation is caught on by industry and others start to master what you innovated, and now you have to pivot to the next best thing. When I took over the company, all along, I always wanted to create my own app. Now, African diaspora, I leave for Ghana and Nigeria in 3 weeks with my vice president, Quintella Inti, who really opened my eyes to that opportunity. Chicago, we all work together, we partner, we joint venture, and we often compete for the same piece of meat. We call this red ocean. Blue ocean throughout that entire continent of Africa. Moving forward, we won that Innovative Technology Award. I continue to make FAZE better. It's incorporated artificial intelligence. Everyone needs to embrace it. You may want to call it augmented intelligence, because what we want to do with AI is use it to augment our life, our work, our time. We want to do more in our time. I have a full court in my backyard.
Okay.
We gonna talk when it gets hot.
Too late.
Well, I never complain, but you can show me some stuff. But my point is, I don't get to use it.
Right.
What I need to do is automate my life, automate my job, automate those RFIs, automate those submittals, get the questions automatically answered, because we built our own knowledge base based on hundreds of years of expertise that my team could put in that large language model of construction, of engineering, of architecture, so the AI simply gets the job done. Part of that case study that the federal government worked on, I worked at CTA, citing it as the best practice that everyone should follow, says that we delivered to the CTA 250% more productivity and up to 50% the time. Now, I see all types of diverse and small businesses in the room. CTA and other big agencies have multi-million-dollar budgets for us to come in and do that. The app that I've created for all of us, remember I said I created it for Ethiopia. They have no budget. This app is going to bring all of us the same benefits of the mega system, the same benefits as SAP for a fraction of the cost. And I don't need KPMG, EY, Deloitte, or IBM to come make it work. I can be more nimble, more efficient. I can get it done faster and better and innovate. And I don't have to wait 6 months. Your clients, my clients, don't have to wait 6 months to a year for my innovations to be delivered. I will implement for you in a matter of hours, days, and weeks. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Gregory. All right, the next three organizations deal with leaders like yourself. So they are organizations that partner or are partners of the City of Chicago. So we're gonna start off with the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, then followed by the Federation of Women Contractors, and then Business Leadership.
Thank you. I'm not a basketball player, as you can tell. But what we do at the chamber is create millionaires, and I heard that from Transportation Director Pete Buttigieg one day. He said, "I'm in the business of creating millionaires." And you think about it, all organizations here, we do the same thing. We create millionaires. In order to access his contracts, you need to get certified. In order to access his contracts, you need to bonding. In order to access the contract, you need to know how to fill out those huge applications. So organizations like the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce have partnered with CTA and many others to help you do that. So we are essential to your business. When the SBA talks about small businesses, they talk about 500 employees or less. How many of you have 500? I don't even know UJAMAA has 500 employees. So to us, it's a Walmart, right? So at the end of the day, we are very small firms, and 90% of the minority-owned companies in the United States are less than 20 employees. You don't have the resources or the knowledge to do the research to even access those contracts. So organizations like the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and these young ladies here have the knowledge to help you access those contracts. And speaking of technology, the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce just created a tool that using AI, you can access contracts in seconds. Now you can go to this website that we created, and we're about to launch it pretty soon. It's called Corama, Contract Rate Maximizer, using this AI and other tools. You give us your capability statement, we run it to the system, and the system will give you the 10 contracts you qualify for in seconds. No longer you need to do research or hire a full-time person trying to get to his website so we can see those contracts, and then just to look at just to read the RFP. It takes a PhD guy to do that, right? How many of you guys have read an RFP from CPA or many other agencies? I mean, you know, it's not that simple at the end of the day, right? So only the guys, the companies that have the knowledge and the will ever access those contracts. So our job as the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is to help you pivot and access those contracts and even the playing field. Right now, as you know, the Program AA is being challenged, right? So you gotta be very astute. The diversity programs might disappear. Even the city of Chicago, they're not even calling procurement anymore. They call it EDGE. So you gotta be really careful on how to do that because that's gonna change. So use organizations like us. We have many programs, and these two young ladies here, for example, we have a contract with the tollway. If you're a landscaper, we were able to tell the tollway, once you unbundle some of those projects to give opportunities to real landscapers to be primes. So they're doing that. So reach out to us with the tollway. The young ladies here, the lady that runs that program. We also have a program with the U.S. Department of Transportation. We oversee 6 states around the Great Lakes region that we monitor and give access to minority-owned companies have access to those contracts. It's not just road building, it's, any service they hire. So just get involved with chambers of commerce or business organizations. That's what we do. We also partner with the city. We tested this program that I'm talking about, Corama, with Lake County because it's pretty small in the city of Waukegan. So we are about to launch it in partnership with the city of Chicago. So keep in mind, I got some developers working on it at 1871. We're trying to make sure this tool is used for everybody. We're not here for the money. We're here to we create equality. We need to even the playing field, and it's not even as it is. So with that, I'll pass it to my colleagues. Thank you very much.
And Juan, honey, I'm sorry, can you pass the mic back? He can introduce himself.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Well, I was thinking about basketball, but
he started here.
I came to Chicago because MJ, My name is Jaime Paulo. I'm the president and CEO of the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you.
We are.
Thank you so much. And so great organization to partner with, great organization to follow. They have events as well, very informative. I went to a couple of events that you've had and very informative. And I meet the same folks that you all meet. So please make sure you follow them as well. Jaimie Neely.
Awesome. Good afternoon, and thank you, Jackie, and thank you all for taking your time out from this 2 to 4 p.m. panel. Jaime Neely, the Executive Director of the Federation of Women Contractors. The FWC, we are a now 35-year-old membership organization advocating for women owners in the commercial construction industry here in the Chicagoland area. We have about 200 members by person. 100 of those represent women owners. We have general contractors, mostly single or specialty trade contractors, some suppliers, and we've expanded our reach to more professional service firms by way of their more design build solicitation, so we want to incubate those relationships in-house. Our membership also represents over 100 Illinois zip codes, which means we're really widespread within the state of Illinois. I am also, I was appointed to be the first woman ever to chair the Illinois Procurement Policy Board by Governor Pritzker last year. Thank you. And, thank you guys. Also co-chair alongside my peer partner in advocacy, Jackie Gomez from HICCA, for the DNC Business Diversity Advisory Council, in addition to many other diversity and compliance advisory councils across the city of Chicago, Cook County, and state of Illinois, including our City of Chicago Government Procurement Compliance Forum, where I work closely with Jackie and her team here in the City of Chicago. A little bit more about FWC. I like to say that we sit on 3 pillars. One, we lead with legislation. A lot of what we're talking about today couldn't be possible without legislation. Those 26 and 6% goals that we speak about for the City of Chicago came through legislation by way of FWC and other partners in advocacy many moons ago. And from there, we didn't stop. We continue to push legislation to create equity and fairness for you, contractors, both women and minority contractors, to do business with these public and private agencies. A few of those include, I'm not sure if you all remember a little bit before my time in procurement, but 14 years ago, the FWC was instrumental in creating policy that requires our local utilities to start tracking and reporting their diverse spend. Just tracking and reporting their spend. Why is this important? They would then have to send these reports to the Illinois Commerce Commission. 13 years ago, you can imagine those numbers were nominal. Year after year, they came back presenting these nominal numbers. Now these 6 Illinois utilities are spending billions of dollars in Illinois with our women and minority firms. So again, through these policies, through practices, through legislation, it's creating the opportunity. Last year, we were successful in pushing what we called a bond bill. For several decades, the state of Illinois, City of Chicago, Cook County, requirements were any contract with a threshold of $50,000 or above would require a bond. We're in the industry. We know what getting bonded looks like. You have to have 10% of the contract value just sitting in the account. How many of us have that getting started, right? Not many. And so what we're able to do is push that contract threshold from $50,000 to $500,000 with Illinois Tollway and IDOT, and then $150,000 with other state and local agencies. So that creates a little bit of capacity building for our smaller scaling startup construction firms, and a little bit more bonding capacity even for our established firms. And this year we're tackling retainage, which isn't necessarily a city's problem in most cases, but it is an issue. Payment is an issue, right, across all city, county, state agencies, and so that is a negative impact to our firms. And how I like to say that, as my colleague Jaime said, he's in the business of making millionaires. I'm in the business of making impact, right? And so when I say that when I'm advocating for my members to get contracts, it doesn't stop there. My members then employ women and minority employees. Those employees then spend their dollars within the communities that we're also serving. And that, in my opinion, creates the 360 of economic impact, which I think all of us are trying to attain at this panel. So through legislation, again, we're able to do a lot of that. And then Jaime also mentioned one thing that we're concentrating on this year is just simply protecting these programs. Many of us wouldn't have these opportunities without them. And there are several federal cases that are challenging. We've seen some local cases in the city of Houston that are challenging the MNWBE programs. And so I know that there's a fine line of business and politics, but here is your opportunity to talk to your legislators and tell them why these programs are important. The City of Chicago and Cook County programs were challenged about 15, 20 years ago. Cook County went without a program for a few years. That was a detriment to our women and minority contractors. We don't want to revisit that again. And so the FWC, we are here supporting. We also have membership meetings where we connect our members to opportunities, many of which were discussed today, and a lot of work and projects coming down the pipeline. We have the infrastructure dollars, we have renewable energy dollars, and then in addition, just the mega projects that's going around the city. We still have the casino going, we still have the OPC going, and we need more women and minority contractors to fill these opportunities, in addition to the diverse workforce to support them. So in all, I welcome you to follow FWC on our social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, and visit us at fwcchicago.com. Thank you.
Thank you. And she did double duty today. I had to have her here today. The Business Leadership Council, Ariel Johnson.
Awesome, thank you. I love hearing you talk to Jaemie. So thank you for letting the black lady sit in the middle. Y'all welcome. Yeah, good afternoon and happy Black History Month. Woo-hoo. My name is Ariel Johnson. I am the CEO of the Business Leadership Council. The Business Leadership Council was started by giants such as John Rogers and Jim Reynolds and John Hooker. And quite frankly, it was started to combine the influence and access of Black leaders, both business owners and executives. And our primary mission is building the Black business ecosystem. We do so through a couple of pillars, which I won't go through each one of them today. You can find out that information at blcchicago.com. But what those four pillars are strategic partnerships, which we've done with many of the individuals on this stage. Business development, which Jaemie talked a little bit about. We serve as business development for each one of our members and want to serve as a champion for them as they continue to grow. Member engagement, and so encouraging our members to work together and collaborate in order to increase capacity and to be able to scale and pursue really lucrative opportunities. And then advocacy, again, what Jaemie talked about. And I won't even go into that because I think Jaemie just already, dropped the mic on that piece. But the civic engagement of our communities, specifically the Black community, is vital for us to be able to continue to grow. However, I am a strong believer that the growth of our Black firms or any of our minority firms should not be contingent upon the legislation existing, but it should be just a part of a ways of working within corporations and in local and state government. But it is up to us to ensure that that requirement is consistent. What I will say about Business Leadership Council is that as we're building a Black business ecosystem, that requires partnership outside of our community. And so we're very much so excited about growing with our partners and growing with our members. And also as it relates, as we talk about the Black community, there is a tale of two cities. Within our city, right? And even more so in the Black community. And so what do we do to give back, right? And so we are that organization. I believe UJAMAA is a member, and we're so grateful for the work that Jaemie does and the intentionality that our members have to give back. And to ensure that smaller firms understand what it meant to be able to, and what is required to be able to get to the level of a BLC member. And so the door is not closed to anyone who wants to engage with the BLC. And there we work with the Chicago Urban League, and we're increasing our partnerships to ensure that we're providing knowledge and access within our community. So yes, we are a premier organization of Black leaders. However, we want to collaborate and work with everyone. So the last piece that I'll say is that we made history this year. Show Strategy is the first Black business to receive a prime contract on a Democratic National Convention. And that was only done because they understood what it means to collaborate, right? And so as we work in silos and we talk about an ecosystem, if you think about an ecosystem, it exists of several living things, right? And in order for that ecosystem to continue to go, everyone has to participate. And your businesses are only going to scale to the extent of the community, the economic power that the community you're navigating in has. And so once you reach that cap, you have the cap, period. It's done. And so now it is on us to ensure that we are being intentional about that collaboration, and not where the silos are insane, y'all. And if we want something different, we absolutely have to do something different. So I'm excited to be here and excited to collaborate.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ariel. And the last two, and we're going to open it up for your questions. The last two have something to do with food a little bit, but they have a special piece. The first lady I want to introduce is from Shy Fresh Kitchen. Last year we did a program about re-entry, and she was my actual caterer for that event, and fed into the program. Yes, go ahead and give her flowers. And now she is a panelist for us today, talking about her business, which is owned by people who are re-entering. So Britt, you can take it away.
All right, thank you, Jackie. Hey everybody, how y'all doing? I'm Kimberly Britt, and I'm proud owner of Shy Fresh Kitchen, located in Greater Grand Crossing on the south side of Chicago. And what we do at Shy Fresh Kitchen is we make fresh meals daily, and we deliver to the kids for school, daycare centers, senior homes, transitional homes, and all of that. But that's not our special sauce. Our special sauce is we are formed, developed, and ran by 4 formerly incarcerated women, Black minority women here in Chicago. And we also offer ownership as well to other individuals with lived experiences. So that's our mission, to give great food as well as ownership, livable wages, and employment. So, thank you guys.
And just a quick add to Kimberly, she's a little shy when she talks. But I hope she don't mind me sharing this.
No,
but when I went to Kimberly's person said, nope, we don't do anything that big. And I said, I don't think they realize what this might do. I said, let me talk to them. Can I just talk to them? And I met Kimberly. Kimberly met me. We sat down, we had a long talk. She gave me the food first. And we had a long talk. And she became our caterer for our session last time. I do believe in her company, and I met all of the owners of the company. I do feel that they are up and onward. They have been doing a lot of events here in Chicago. So those of you that need that service, Kimberly is here to help you. Momentum Coffee. Last but not least, Tracy Paulo. Tracy has a little extra sauce too. He's in IT too. So he's a little shy. He's not going to tell you anything about that. He's going to talk about Momentum Coffee. But I get people on the panel because I research them. I suggest that you do too. Tracy, take it away.
Great. Hey, welcome everybody. Happy to have you here and to spend some time in the afternoon. Thank you, Jackie. Appreciate you inviting Momentum. Again, my name is Tracy Paulo. I am the co-founder of Momentum Coffee. I run Momentum with my wife, Nikki Bravo. She does most of the work. I just talk. And that's not even a lie. My daughter said to me, she says, Daddy, you don't do none of the work. Mama do all the work. But, she doesn't see what I do, but, I get it. She works a lot harder than me. I'm going to talk a little bit about Momentum. I do want to go a little bit back in time and talk about my experience. It's super interesting to be on this panel because I've got construction and development and IT experience. That happens when you've lived a long time. You do a few things, right? Started out here in Chicago. I've been a lifelong resident, not a lifelong, but all my adult life has been here in Chicago. 38 years here in Chicago. Right after I graduated from college, I came right here to the Windy City just to really figure out what I was going to do But right off the bus, I knew that when I landed here, I wanted to be in the neighborhoods. I wanted to be in the community. And I moved to a community we call Bronzeville now, but it wasn't Bronzeville then. It was Grand Boulevard. I lived in Grand Boulevard, and the first thing I recognized is that our community needed a lot of help. We had vacant buildings, we had all types of things. But I was committed to live in the city and committed to changing our community. So I spent a lot of time in banking in the beginning, but you can't live in Chicago too long and not be interested in real estate. So I quickly jettisoned and changed my career and started doing real estate development. I spent about 25 years working with CDCs, eventually started my own development corporation, developed over 2,500 units of affordable housing, mixed-use housing, dabbled a little bit in construction, but that's too hard. I had to get out of that. Because ain't nothing like building your own space and then have to deal with the problems after that. So I would say to anybody, you be on the construction side or the development side, because you got to have somebody to blame. So we did that for a while. A little something happened in 2007, 2008. I don't know if y'all remember that. We got a big recession, bigger to me than COVID. Couldn't sell a property, couldn't sell a thing, couldn't do anything, couldn't get a loan, nobody could do anything. And at that point, I started to really rethink, what have we done? We built units, we built housing in our cities. Have we changed our neighborhoods? Have we changed our community? Well, a little bit. We got some structures, but at the core, I realized we needed to be working on human development. So one of the things that I started to do is build what I call intentional spaces. So around 2010, 2011, I started building what we call co-working spaces and technology spaces. And I've done that all over the country. Built my first space here in Chicago in 2014. And then just really started to program those spaces out. And as Jackie said, that's when we started talking about programming for youth, STEM programs. One of the things I recognized really quick in Chicago, we weren't into technology. And so starting to teach kids technology, we probably influenced over 20,000 kids to get into technology STEM over the life of the time that I've been doing it. We still run a robotics program. You can go in the backside of Momentum Coffee on Saturday and you'll see kids building robots. And so we're really happy about the kind of things we do in our neighborhoods. Let me talk a little bit about Momentum. We opened Momentum in 2020 with the idea that it would be a coffee and co-working space. But guess what? 2020 was almost like 2007. We got the word that we could no longer do events, we could no longer have co-working, so that ended that right away. So now we were just a coffee shop. And so at that point, we were just at the door handing people coffee off, and we weren't worried so much, but we did know we had to pivot. 2020 was number one. We built in South Loop. We now have 6 locations in Chicago. Folks be asking, how'd you do it? I don't know. I still don't know. 4 years in. We're 4 years young. 6 years, but we were really intentional about where we build our spaces. My first space was South Loop. Second space was, Millennium Park just kind of fell in my lap. I'm sorry. Millennium Park, which was great to have because then it allowed me to take a little bit more risk. Building our third space in Inglewood, 63rd Street, 1122 West 63rd Street. Fourth space, North Lawndale. Fifth space, Austin. And then, of course, our sixth space is in Garfield Park Conservatory. So we really tried to figure out how can we be in neighborhoods because we really see ourselves as more than just a coffee shop. We see ourselves as really being that kind of place. Coffee is what brings people together. But to me, the most important thing is what happens once people are inside the coffee space. And so really we're about building what we call intentional spaces so that we can really drive and be a catalyst in these neighborhoods that, and for some of the neighborhoods have not had new construction in over 30 or 40 years. And so really proud about that. I'll stop there and hopefully got questions.
And let me just say, add a little for Tracy too, because he said the spaces are intentional and that they are. I've been to a couple of meetings in the South Loop, and they have the aldermen there. They have folks from city departments. We're trying to get out to the community and talk to you wherever you are. and they offer those spaces and those opportunities for us to come in and do that. So I appreciate them for that. So now we are to the point where we can open the floor up for questions from you. So the folks in the blue shirt, do we have 2 mics or 1? We just need 1.
Jackie, may I say something?
Yes.
Okay. So again, thank you for, here's another mic. Thank you for letting me be here today. I just want to, thank the audience and in recognition for your time. You guys are sitting, listening to our stories. We're not hearing yours. It's Black History Month, and we all sit here on the shoulders of giants before us. My grandfather, Big Bob Bush, along with Ernie Bush, who ran Bush Construction, built Seaway National Bank, built homes all across the south side of Chicago, built all the apartment complexes off of Vincennes, roughly 87th Street, what used to be Williams Clinic. My grandfather did that. In honor of my grandfather, I would like all of you, and this is not a selfish plug, I'm trying to give back, to go to my website, phaze.ai. Interact with my artificial intelligence bot. Give me your name, your number, your email. I want to give all of you access to my application that the U.S. Department of Commerce named me Minority Innovative Technology Firm of the Year for. The application that I go try to sell in Africa and here. I want to give all of you free access to it. You can't get free access unless you fill out this thing so I know who you are. I know you're here. I want you all to get at least 3 months experience of how this technology can help you. I don't care what your business is, or what type of industry you're working in. I know my technology can help all of you, and on my dime, on the shoulder of my grandfather, I would like to give all of you access to it.
Well, thank you. So you get stuff when you come here. I didn't know you were going to do that either. Thank you so much. All right. The mic is open, so we'll take the first question on this side.
Thank you so much for that. I was just going to ask, can you repeat that for us? Oh.
P like Paul. My table is number 59. Okay. I have a couple of people there now. P like Paul, H, A, Z like zebra, E.AI for artificial intelligence. And when I spoke about automating yourself, it's going to interact with you like it's me talking to you. Give me your info, and then we'll get back in touch with you to set up an account.
All right. Got another one over here, another question?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Isaiah Holmes. I'm a recent graduate of the University of Miami with a master's in construction management. Thank you. I'm born and raised on the south side of Chicago, and I just wonder, trying to get into this construction industry, it's very hard to find your niche and to find someone who will support that without bringing experience to the table. So does anybody offer opportunities for recent or new graduates that are looking to build their knowledge base and experience in the construction industry?
Give this lady here.
But UJAMAA's up here.
Oh. Okay. All right. Another question? Okay, you got it too? All right, thank you so much.
Everyone needs good talent, so now you gonna have a line.
Right. Any other questions?
Yes, good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for having us out here, inviting us to this event. It's been knowledgeable. I'm
Who's
impressed.
speaking? Hold on 1 second.
My name is Mike Sullivan. I'm the owner of World Class Fire Protection, just like the two gentlemen up there. I've been the only, for a while, up until they came, the only black fire protection company anywhere in the city. I was elected the first, so this is Black history, I was elected the first black union officer in the 138-year history of the local. But since then, I've started a company so that I can bring more diversity, to try and help bring more diversity into our trade, to get some young Black and Hispanic and women into the trade. So I've been in business for 10 years. I also want to say thank Jimmy from UJAMAA and BICO. As a result of he and a couple other general contractors, I'm one of the contractors on the Obama project. Jimmy's been instrumental with making sure the invitation for bids get out to my company. And so this is directed at the CTA. So I know you guys got this program, and I want to know, how do we get the invitation to bid on the projects? I am a Southsider, born and raised in Albuquerque Gardens, and I've completed the project at the Pullman National Monument and at Culver's, and I'm trying to, since CTA is coming back out south, I know there's got to be buildings and other vertical structures going up. When are the RFPs coming out for that?
Yeah.
RFIs?
Great question. Specifically for the red line extension, so right now we're in the RFP stage. We have the shortlisted teams that'll be turning in their proposals this spring. We will award the contract towards the end of this year, and once we award that contract, there'll be about a year's worth of design before we put a shovel in the ground. So we'll put the shovel in the ground in late 2025 to complete the project in late 2029. We've done this, we did this on our current mega project, the red and purple modernization. We're going to follow the same model on red line extension. We're going to come out to the community with the selected team so that you can talk directly with them about opportunities. We've set aggressive DBE goals, so there's a 25% DBE goal on design, 22% DBE goal on construction. And we look at our goals as the floor, and we expect our contractors to reach up for the ceiling. We've got several programs to help you make sure that you're ready to compete for these opportunities when they become available. And we'll be doing a lot of networking events so that you can constantly be in front of the selected team to talk about how you can add value to the project, how you can compete for multiple scopes. We're going to work with them to break apart large scopes because this is a $3.6 billion investment. The construction contract will be north of $1.3 billion, right? So you can imagine the packages are going to be too big for small businesses to compete for. So one of the strategies that we implemented in RPM, the current mega project, is to break apart the opportunities so that small businesses had multiple opportunities to bid on the same scope. So we're doing the same thing on RLE, and just to give you an idea of what we did on RPM, that's a $1.3 billion construction contract. We've already awarded $267 million to DBEs between the design and construction packages. Over 115 unique DBEs are on the project, and 54 of those had never done business with CTA before RPM. That was one of the goals that we set out, was to make sure that we had new firms doing business with CTA. So definitely stay in contact with us, and BICO will definitely be coming out to BICO with the selected team.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
And while
Can I say something?
And when you're done, if you can pass it to Ian.
This is not related to CTA, but you need to prepare yourselves for this big contract coming up. When the RFP is out, it's kind of late for you guys to get ready. So you need to start looking at the long-term goals. For example, we know what CTA has planned in 5 years. So what we do is preparing companies have access to those contracts. We know what the city of Chicago plans to build in 10 years. So it's up to you guys to reach out to organizations like us so we can prepare you to, when the RFP comes, you're ready to go. Because when the RFP comes, you only got 30 days to fill those huge requirements. So it's key to you guys start monitoring the long-term goals of CTA. For example, the Red Line project, that's been on the books for 20 years, so now it's finally happening. But a lot of companies have not had the opportunity because they only had 30 days to prepare that big, long application. So it's up to you guys to reach out to agencies like, the Black Contractors and all these chambers around here to give you the knowledge and educate you and get the right bonding and all that to access those contracts. So that's the key.
Ian.
Yes, I'd like to be a contrarian. Could you stand again, please? Could you give him the microphone again, please? I'd like to be a contrarian, and I'd like to challenge the thought for CTA. And what I'd like to challenge you to do, sir, is consider approaching the PMs, the CMs, the GECs that they're talking to now versus waiting. And ask them about partnering with you now as a part of their team. And I think Jimmy would can probably speak to this, because I think that that's the arena that he is participating in. My point is this is my point. Oftentimes, when we're in the trade, we wait too late, exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so what I am learning as a small business who started in the trade, went to trade school while working on a master's degree. I personally hold 2 general contracting licenses. And for many years, like many of us as tradespeople, we run behind the GCs trying to get in the bid. But the GCs are going after the CMs and the PMs trying to also get into the project. I'm going to challenge you to look at getting ahead of all of that and look to see how you can get into the deal. The deal is the program, exactly what he's saying. And the program, they can consider using you now as a part of value engineering. So if you can get in that program and talk to everybody as a part of value engineering, and then let them teach you how to make money, not just waiting for years for that project to come so that you can do what you do, but look at seeing how you can add and diversify what you do, start making money now as a part of the CM or either the GEC. And I'm sharing that to share a quick story. I live and work in West Palm Beach, and I approached my city about doing a public-private partnership where they had 5 fire stations. I don't have any money, but I have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to do what they do. So I put together a deal for public-private partnership. I chose a white contract instead of waiting for them to come to me. And by doing that, I pulled together black contractors in my city and made them a part of the CM before we went to the city to go after the RFP. Now, my point is this, going back to the electrical contractor, I got him to do exactly what I'm challenging you to do. We made him a partner with me as a part of the CM, so he was able to make money on that project 3 ways. We taught him how to do value engineering, because you're not going to always win the electrical or your trade. But he was able to make money doing the value engineering for us. He was able to make money being a partner with me in the deal. But he was also able to make money actually installing all of the electrical. 5 fire stations, and right now we're on our 3rd one. So I just want to share that, because a lot of times, just because we are small, we don't have to think small. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I would also add to the comment of what Juan said. If you haven't seen the presentation, first of all, of the 95th Street corridor and all of its magic and what it's going to do, so that you know what is all available, I would implore you to do so, because that is going to give you the foundation of all of the things that are there, and then dig deeper into that and find out who's doing what, and you can do the things that they have said here. Let's go ahead. Do we have one more? Okay. It was on.
Hi. There we go. Hi, my name is Stephanie Blakely. I'm actually an accountant, and my business was just awarded a grant by the city of Chicago. But the reason I'm here, about a handful of electricians, general contractors, construction workers where English is their second language, asked me to come here and said, Stephanie, help us get jobs, help us get work, help us create a company that we can get work. And they know I know how to fill out paperwork. And so my question is, I'm gonna start a construction company for these guys so they can have work. Where do I start? Who in this room do I need to connect with so that when these jobs come down the pipeline in a year or so, that these guys who said, Stephanie, we trust you to be our voice. We have the skills. Who do I go to in this room to start this company so that when these contracts come down the line, these experienced people where English is their second language can do these jobs?
Well, there's two things I would say, and then I'm going to let the panel take this as well. We normally have a component to this conference, which is the business-to-business matchmaking. As you can see, I can barely fit everybody that's here. So I had to, and I don't have the same amount of space. So we're going to still have that component. It's just going to take place later on in the year. So I would just say to you from the city's perspective, particularly the Department of Procurement Services, that we will have a business-to-business matchmaking. And that's where primes are there, and some of these same folks are always there, and subcontractors can come in and individuals can come in and talk to these people. So they will have full access from the city side. That's what we're doing. Now, I'll let anyone who wants to answer on the panel.
So I'll be quick. There's a network of small business development centers around the state. They do that for a living. That's the only thing they do is help create companies and give you the technical assistance so you can get certified and everything else. We happen to have an SBDC, they call it Small Business Development, in our office, so feel free to call me. I'll be glad to help. No charge, no cost. I get paid on the other end, so don't worry about it.
I would just say that I would encourage you to rethink your proposed business model. And I am more than happy to sit and talk with you. Every Friday, I block time from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk to women about mentorship or whatever else that they need. So I'm more than happy to talk with you. But what I would say is you have access with your talent. And what you're providing is some advocacy. You are providing business development. You're doing a lot of things that are not, you don't want to put yourself in a box of just being able to help this group because they want to do something in construction, but you actually have something that you could do and scale to the broader community. So I would encourage you to, one, not have these gentlemen work in silos and to collaborate with all of these folks up here. You saw how many people raise their hand when they're like, I got talent. I have folks. You have about 6 people jump up. So I would just encourage you to think through that model, and I'd love to give you my cards to meet with you about it.
And networking is the key.
Jackie, ma'am. Jaime. In addition to the SBDC centers, there's what's called APEX, APEX. They were once called PTAC centers. There are 7 of them across the state of Illinois. At no cost, they assist small businesses in navigating public procurement. So how to get certified, how to register for the various vendor registrations, how to market. They help you do capability statements. And some of the centers, depending on where they're located, I know the Women's Business Development Center serves both women and men, but they have dual language program. So that's also a resource for you.
And they are here in the exhibit hall if you get a chance to catch them. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I think my question was along the lines of the young lady that's the accountant. I'm a New Yorker and I moved here 17 months ago. And so I used to work for Marsh McLennan. I was the first black woman they promoted in 1982 in New York. And so being a part of a black and women-owned insurance firm, there are never bids and RFPs for like accountants, insurance. They just don't exist. And then when you do the work to find out where they exist, you see that a large broker has won the RFP as opposed to a small minority broker. So someone like me who came from the biggest, who has technical capabilities, we don't even get in on the RFP. So I know I'm coming from a different world. The world I came from, you could bid on Pfizer, you could bid on Boeing, and it's based on your capabilities. But this is another animal. Talking about filling out forms, I'm like, oh God, when does it happen? So I just want to say in terms of professional services, like insurance brokers, like accountants, they're not the opportunities, at least I don't see them. Now, I'm not a native. I don't know where 179th Street, wherever you said. I don't know where that is. I got 2 GPSs. So but I'm just making a point that when it comes to a B2B, professional services are not always included.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I try to get around. As you can see, this flavor was a little more architecture. It wasn't intended to be that way, but it turned out, and it turned out for the best because I do hear those types of comments, about the construction summit or our symposium that we have in the summertime. So I'm trying to give each area something to leave with. So I hope it was someone in the exhibit hall that could help. I normally put speakers on. You see, these people all have different industries and different aspects that they have within the industries. So I try to put on all of those kinds of folks too. But professional development, you will see something in the summer. Or should I say fall, right after the DNC. You should see us do something at the symposium, a little bit more for professional services. So I'm gonna try to hit that there.
Jackie,
okay?
if I could add.
Sure.
So I would encourage you to take a look. The city of Chicago puts together a buying plan that pulls from all the government agencies in this region together, because CTA does put out an RFP for various professional services, including insurance, and we do put a DBE goal on there. So I would encourage you, to Jaime's point about getting ready in advance, take a look at that buying plan. I know CTA's provides an 18-month look ahead of what we're planning on procuring, so that you can get ready for, and you can use the Freedom of Information Act as well. I think it's a very helpful tool for small businesses. Submit a FOIA request asking for the current or previous contracts so that you can see what we're looking for as you get ready for that RFP. To your point, we are a bureaucracy. There are a lot of forms to fill out, but if you can see those in advance, you can start getting ready on how to fill those out and make sure you have the backup documentation ready, so that when the bid does come out and you're pressed for time, you've got all your documents ready.
And if you haven't picked up that copy of the buying plan, you can stop at the DPS table. We do have copies of the buying plan at the DPS table.
Cook County and the state of Illinois also recently released their buying plans. The state does theirs on a quarterly basis as well. And the CMSDC does matchmaking events as well as the WBDC, and they also connect you to corporations directly. And sometimes those opportunities are a little smaller, but a little more approachable as you're working to grow. So I would encourage you to go to those tables as well.
Yeah, and all of those folks that she just mentioned too is in that buying plan. So I do suggest that you pick that up.
Jackie, if I may add, and I hear, and a young man just graduated. I talked to some startups earlier, and maybe this will apply to some of you. And we heard the importance of being ready to respond to the RFP. Part of being ready is, well, let me tell you a story. Back in 1990, maybe it was 95, I went to a real estate conference. I was the only black man in the room. There was 1,000 people. And Barbara Corcoran was the keynote speaker. She was a broker in New York from Shark Tank. She was a broker in New York, just started selling real estate. And she spoke in her keynote about perception. She didn't start as if she was a sub, a protege, a small real estate agent. She opened her firm as if she was the best in New York. She was the premier real estate agency in all of New York. And if you wanted to buy a mansion, you wanted to be on Fifth Avenue, you go to Barbara Corcoran. And her clients at the time were Madonna, Luther Vandross, and Bill Clinton. This woman who I sit there and talk to, I never imagined her model of perception would get her to be who she is today. I want to introduce everyone to my daughter, Jordan, who, stand up for a moment, Jordan, table 59. Jordan manages the part of our vision, our business that manages, and I'm going to use the word perception. And we do it for hire. Jordan manages everything from building websites for our clients, logos, colors, look and feel of who you are, your social media presence. Quintella can help you with your capability statement. Jordan can do your video capability. We have Hollywood-ready broadcast cameras, lights, mics, green screen, After Effects, Adobe Creative Cloud. This manage your perception, what we want to help you do is generate thousands of leads per month and hopefully one buys. To do that, yes, network, meet, go to the tables, but when these agencies and potential partners want to look you up and see who you are and see if you're the real deal, that better be tight, whether you won a contract yet or not, because you're not gonna get a contract if your presence and the perception that you give others is not proper.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take one more question. I'm going to take the lady in the back and you right here, and then I'm going to leave the rest of the time for networking. So I'll take the lady in the back.
Hi.
And can we make our questions and answers brief?
It's going to be brief. My name is Majan McCaskill, and Jackie, if it's okay if I speak on behalf of the state of Illinois to the young lady here that was asking about professional services. Sure. So what you're considered as a sheltered market for the state of Illinois. So a BEP goal, if you're not familiar with BEP, is business enterprise programs, where we put a certain percentage of a sheltered market contract together, and part of that contract is for a sheltered market. But the problem is that we don't have enough people in professional services that are registered as sheltered markets, or contracts that are going out. So yes, it is a little difficult, but I do work in BEP for DHS. So if there's information that you want to know as far as learning how to become a sheltered market, I can point you in the direction for that, because BEP and the Commission on Equity and Inclusion are looking to do more sheltered market procurements. We actually had 4 just go out this year. So there is work out there for you. It's just being, registered in the system so that you're able to access that information. So again, I'm with DHS, and if we're gone, Jackie has my information. She can connect you, but I'll be here for a little bit longer and I can give you my information. Okay. Table 32.
And I'm gonna take this gentleman right here in the front.
I just had a question for the young lady who does the catering. Have you folks considered expanding into food trucks? Because what's happening now is there's a great deal of manufacturing going on around the country. And I'm a hotel owner, so I'm building hotels at some of these places. In this city, you've already talked about having the Obama Library, and you also have a massive casino resort that's going to be built. These things are going to take 2 years. And many times those men don't have food on those sites, and food trucks are the way in which they access food. So have you considered that at all?
So, no, we haven't, thank you. But we haven't considered food trucks because our mission is to break barriers that people who were formerly incarcerated experience coming out. And even though a food truck may give 1 or 2 jobs, we're trying to create multiple jobs for people with lived experiences. That's gonna give them a livable wage, that's gonna give them a nice place to lay their head at night, and change the stigma that's attached to them too as well. So a food truck is a good idea, but we just trying to go big to connect with our community. And so with that being said, we do deliver our own food with our own insulated trucks too as well. But just that's we trying to make an impact. Okay.
All right. I want to thank all of my panelists for attending today's session. My mission with this particular panel was to enlighten, to encourage, to empower, and I think this group of folks have done that, so please give them a big round of applause. And I suggest that if you have not followed these folks, I suggest that you do so. I'm going to leave the remaining amount of time for you to network with them. And we will be closing the summit pretty soon, so you're not gonna have that much time to network with them. But I wanna leave the remaining time because some people don't wanna ask their questions outright from the audience. You can tell I've done this 1 or 2 times, right? So I want you to be able to talk with them, but I do want to thank them and thank you for staying and partaking into this particular panel discussion. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day.